All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Happy PharmD podcast. We have another panel discussion ready for you with two of our very own Happy PharmD coaches. We have Janan Sarwar and Julie Kidd. Welcome again, guys, back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll jump right in. So today's topic is definitely a topic that I feel like, everyone out there, pharmacist or not, can relate to, especially with COVID and everything going on still. Is the main thing is how to manage time management. So we're going to jump right in. First, we're going to kind of talk about our own personal experiences and then kind of get into how it relates with pharmacy and so forth. So Janan, you can go right ahead.
Great. Well, I just wanted to start off to let everyone know I am no expert at all about this. However, people do ask me how I'm able to manage my job, coaching, and I do have 3 young kids at home. So I don't have it all put together, but I do want to credit it to a lot of different techniques that I've studied over the years. And I can share a little bit about a few of them and love to hear how Julie manages everything as well. But the first one that I'm really excited about that I follow is called GTD, which stands for Getting Things Done. And you can Google it. It's a philosophy, and simply put, it's about capturing and clarifying all the commitments that you have in your life going on, whether they're little, they're big, personal and professional, and actually putting it into one system, to try to basically be productive and work kind of smarter instead of working harder. And, there's a few concepts with it, but mainly what works for me is kind of scheduling everything, capturing all the commitments I have, as I said, all the little and big things, not just due dates or appointments, but just all the things that I want to do for work, and then also to maintain my health and happiness. So that's one thing. And then 2 other things that I'll kind of touch on. I think this is going to be important for us to expand upon, but practicing saying no is very important, because in order to accomplish your goals, you have to really preserve your time, because this is about time management. And then one more important thing I'll mention now is a concept that is in GTD. We laughed about this. We talked about this a little bit earlier before starting our podcast today, but it's called Eat the Frog.
Mm-hmm.
And that concept is simply no one likes to eat frogs, but if you're going to have to, get it done, get it out of the way first. So front load your day with the most difficult tasks that you have, or most creative things that you need to do. Because in the beginning of your day, it's when you're fresh, you have the highest energy typically, because as your day progresses, your energy decreases. And if you do accomplish something, or at least think through something that's really important to you, and you can reach your goals earlier in the day, that itself will continue to inspire you to accomplish more and more. So those are some of the personal things that I, kind of wanted to share to start off with.
Awesome. And I actually can 100% relate to the Eat the Frog now that you've explained it a little more. I had an academic advisor who would always recommend, he's like, lay out all your assignments and do the hardest one first. That's the one you're most, reluctant to do. And also the hardest, more time consuming and everything like that. And it'll make your life a lot easier. So I like that one, but all the other ones you mentioned as well. Julie,
have you guys eaten frog legs before? They're kind of,
I have,
but they're kind of good,
actually.
right?
Like chicken.
Not to get too off track, but they're delicious actually.
Time management, right? Time management. Let's get back on track.
But they are. I had them in Paris actually, so they are delicious. Just to say, I think it's the sauce though. It's basically like it's like chicken wings, but they use like a special sauce that makes it superb. So,
interesting.
Anyways. Speaking of time management,
right.
We'll let Julie chime in now.
Yeah. I am definitely not as sophisticated as Janan in the different philosophies, I think I've just learned by my mistakes over the years. I have 2 small kids and a husband who's a physician, so his job is super demanding. So I've had to be the flexible parent He went through residency training when our kids were small, and so no flexibility for him. And so I've learned, I think probably through many, many mistakes in the hard way of how to get things done, still have a career and still be present in the moment and still take care of me. There's been seasons of my life where I've not done those things. And I've learned through that as well, of what that balance needs to look like. So I know not everyone is a morning person, but I 100% agree that whenever that morning starts for you, whether that's 5 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever it is, I do think that most people are probably most efficient at that time. And so tackling, whether that be physical exercise, spiritual exercise, professional, whatever that is, kind of tackling that first in your day has been really key and important for me to do that. And that kind of sets the pace for the rest of my day. So for me, I get up really early and it's quiet. My kids aren't awake. My husband's not awake. It's amazing. I have a little time to myself. I usually exercise and have some time to deal with spiritual things. And then that's when I lead into kind of more professional things. So I'm a big list person. So I list out, and this is professional things with work or personal things. I make lists pretty much every day. I used to do it on, pen and paper, and now I do more on my phone. And so I refer to that list every day, and I put exclamation marks of, these are the things I have to get done today. Like if I don't do anything else, these are the 2 things I want to get done. And that's been really helpful, because in the midst of your day, new things come in, you're taking care of patients, maybe you're taking care of kids, maybe you're whatever you're doing, you forget, right? And life happens, and you still have to remember what you're going to have for dinner that night, and it's your mom's birthday and you forgot. So I try to, the night before, look at the things that I have to, or I really want to accomplish, 2 or 3 things for that next day, and try to tackle those at the beginning of the day. So yeah, that's kind of, you live and learn, and you figure out what that looks like. But those are some of the tips that I've used in using my schedule, my calendar. I kind of block off time of, this next hour I'm going to dedicate to this specific activity. When you're at work, it's nice because if you block off that time, I don't know what type of platform everyone uses, but sometimes it'll look like you're busy during that time, and so perhaps you might not get as many interruptions or what have you. So to really take your calendar and block that time off to whatever activity you're trying to accomplish is really a way that I've been successful with time management.
Yeah, go right ahead, Janan.
Something that you just reminded me of, Julie, is that, again, I'm going to bring up that GTD philosophy thing, and you may relate to this. Your mind is meant to have ideas, not necessarily hold them. So, again, if we try to store all of these things in our mind, you will forget. I mean, we do, it's overwhelming. And I think a lot of pharmacists probably can relate to you. I'm a big list person too, writing things down, checking them off, or like you said, saying something's really important to do, or scheduling it. Again, it's so that, because some people, honestly, I've learned that people are like, oh, you schedule, some people have this stigma against over scheduling or writing everything down or whatnot. But I think it's a really great habit to have, because then, again, it's not your brain doesn't have to be storing and being overwhelmed by all these things, because it's really easy to forget and to not have, the ability to maintain everything, especially if you've got work and home and everything. So that, and then it sounds like you have a really nice routine, like your morning routine is really important. And I think that's really important too, because having a routine, the studies show about why it's important is because daily routines kind of help keep you from even overthinking what you have to do. You kind of have, the way you described it, you get up early, you know you're going to maybe do some spiritual or physical activity at that time, and it sets the pace of the day. And I can relate to that as well.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, even the topic of this podcast, with my clients, I'm always like, pharmacists are really bad at dreaming, right? Like we stick to our lists, we stick to our tasks, And it does. It feels good. I mean, I think I am a dreamer, but I'm also a task-oriented person. It feels good to mark those things off of our list. But I think we have squelched our ability to let our mind wonder and dream because we are so anal and type A and just want to get jobs done. And so I don't know. I'd love to hear kind of what y'all, what you do to allow yourself the freedom and the ability to dream, because I think it's even like a different side of, you know, a different switch in our brain when we're letting ourselves dream, you know, of what our goals, our ambitions, what that looks like. But if I think if you don't do that exercise and that practice, you kind of lose that ability to do it. But if we're so just in tune to a task, like, do we schedule time for daydreaming? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of like what we do, like with our clients, right? With the vision and 5-year plan, right? Or goal in your mind and dreaming that way. But I feel like I try to incorporate that as well, the best I can. I feel like you said, it's kind of hard. You almost have to pick a time and check it off the list, which it's sad that we have to do it that way. But you know, life is very busy, right? So I usually will try my best to write things out and kind of plan it, whether it be looking 6 months into the future, a year or further, and just trying to check back in with that as often as I can, and see where I am, if I'm going towards that direction or kind of going off the path. But always trying to set that time aside, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or an hour, to like really think about yourself and your goals and aspirations, and not losing sight that it's not just always about work or, you know, paying bills and everything like that. It's important to focus on yourself and your overall wellness and your family, and what's truly important to you, and not just, you know, meeting another, you know, benchmark, whether it's, you know, in pay or a job or whatever. It's also about thinking about what truly is important to you at the end of the day, and overall just finding that overall balance.
I completely agree with both of you. And, you know, I think one thing that I have learned is that my time to do this like visioning or this creative side, it is in the morning, and it's my first thing. Again, you all can't see me on the podcast, but I have a journal. There's another technique. It's called the 5-second journal. If you really are short on time, this is a quick thing you can do, but you can get a plain journal and, you know, try to even think about what you're grateful for, having a gratitude journal, or, you know, kind of a check-in to see how do you feel about yourself that day? How do you feel? Are you depleted? Are you feeling meh, fine, good, excellent? You know, how are you? Why do you feel that way? What can you do to feel more energized? What is your priority for that day? You know, and what are the small actions that you can take to get to those goals? And it doesn't have to be about work all the time, like you said. You know, how do we creatively, you know, release ourselves from all of these, you know, things that we have to do? I think it's really important. And then eliminating the distractions. You were speaking about that, both of you. One new thing I did as of about a year ago is that I don't keep my phone in my bedroom. I charge it in a different room. Because I used to find that the last thing I would do is what Julie, you mentioned. I would look at my calendar for the next day and say, okay, what are my priorities? And that's really helpful. But to start off my morning with my phone, again, jumping right into maybe emails or texts or things that may have come overnight, you know, maybe the news, social media, any of those things, I found that if you do that, then you strip yourself of your creative energy because you've put yourself into all those distractions. So what I did by charging the phone in an actual different room, using an analog type alarm clock, because we all use our phones. Do you all use your phones as your alarm? I did for
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I was going to say, that's probably the biggest excuse
That's my
I have.
excuse. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I need my alarm. So.
Or what if someone needs me at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, there's two tips for that. I actually you can put where you have your emergency contacts like that can come through, and put your phone really, really loud. So hopefully it's just in the next room that you'll still hear it. And then I went to Amazon and I just bought an alarm clock. Those are the two tips I can tell
I was
you.
gonna say the newest thing for me that I did was I set like the bedtime like on my phone, so like everything goes to like sleep mode or silent mode or whatever, starting at like 10 p.m. or whatever until like the next morning. Because I was
Yeah.
having that issue, like I was using my phone as an alarm. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
some message would go off and it would wake me up, or I'd be wide awake after whatever, some kind of email or whatever. But yes, I should probably just get a regular alarm clock and stop using it as an excuse.
It was totally my excuse, so I hear you. But just that one thing, I'll tell you, that simple thing of not having my phone be the first thing I think about in the morning, that will immensely get you closer to keeping any creative or visioning or any of that thing that gets robbed from us when we jump right into work or whatever. I don't know. Can you relate?
Oh yeah.
I think there's like a statistic out there for checking your email, like it's like as like the first thing people do on their phone. Like it's like one of the, if not the most common, one of the most common things. Like it's just human nature. Like we automatically have to check our email for some reason when you wake up.
Like we're the president of the United States and are so important and have to deal with some world crisis right when we wake up, Oh man.
No, it's too funny, but I think this is a great place, I think, so to kind of make the transition to also how do we incorporate this with coaching. And I know we kind of talked about how our personal experience and what we do. I think everyone's going to go out there and buy an analog clock now. I think I should. But honestly though, like, so I think the big thing is, let's start with the ambivalence that people may have to get into coaching. Not only seeing it as an investment yourself, but also how you can find the time to do it. So I'll let either one of you jump right in.
Yeah, I think, and I get that, every time, again, I think I'm a dreamer. And so I often dream about, I want to do this. I want to, even if it's a hobby or start a business, whatever it is, I dream all the time. And then it's like, when my pharmacist side takes over, it's like, oh, how in the world am I going to incorporate that into my already I have too much to do on my list now anyways, and then what I've found though, if it's something that I really care about deeply and I really want to do, I find time. I carve out time to make that happen. Whether that is taking something off of my list, just like you said, Janan, of, okay, right now in this season of life, I have to say no to this particular thing so that I can carve out time for this thing that I really want in this season of life. Or I just, find extra time to get that activity in. And so I feel like for a lot of my clients or future clients that I've talked to, that they have that issue where sure, it is a financial commitment, but I think it's the time commitment too. They're nervous about putting in time, and the results of kind of, if they put in time and things happen, they're almost scared of like, what if something good happens? That's scary territory to think about too. But I think again, if you want something bad enough, you will find the time to do it, whether you're a disciplined person or not. I think if that's something you care about and you want to do that or have change, if that's a career change or whatever that is. And I know for my clients, we obviously talk about a lot about career, but we talk about just personal habits, other things that they can incorporate in their life as well, to just make them healthier, more well-rounded people. So I think it is, I get it. It's scary to incorporate something new and to find that time. But I think I usually start out with clients of kind of saying like, how at rock bottom are you? How miserable are you? How bad of a change do you need? And if they're ready, they're going to find that time, and they're going to maybe ask their support system to help with laundry or children or whatever that is, so that they can find time to do this hard work that's going to be investing in themselves. So But that is a very, very normal conversation that I have with clients, even after they've signed up for coaching. So.
Exactly. It's like, we have all these goals. How are you going to find your time among the busy schedule, especially if you're currently in a overwhelming, demanding job? How are you going to do all the things that you need to do in order to make that career transition? And exactly what you said, I can relate to everything. And personally, when I do speak to my clients, I try to often find out where they are, and I ask them to reflect, think going back to calendar, literally look back at the last month, the last few weeks, and answer these questions. So I'll kind of share. So number one, like, what is it that you do spend most of your time doing? It's a question. How much time do you spend on yourself, or on your favorite hobbies? How much time are you spending thinking about your goals? How much time are you spending complaining about your current situation, with work or anything, to your friends or to your family? How much time are you actually spending working versus time on other people that you care about and their goals, not just about you? And then how much time in general are you spending with the people that you love? And sometimes I'll tell you the truth, some clients can directly answer, each of those questions, and some can't even remember some of the answers. And, that's one of the things that, helps people realize, okay, maybe it is important to take a break and, as you said, Julie, reassess, what is this, where am I in this season of life? Is this time to, realign where I am? Because Julie's absolutely right. It's not just, our lives aren't just our jobs. Our lives aren't just one dimensional. It's everything, and to be complete, you do need to care about yourself, about your own health, about your family, about, your mental health is going to impact all of that. If you aren't happy with what you're doing, that's going to impact the patient care, or, the work that you're putting out there too, if you're inherently not happy. So, I know that there have been a lot of people who have been kind of spinning their own wheels, stuck or feeling scared, complaining, or, kind of trying to find their next steps without a plan, or without a goal, or maybe they have that goal, but they just don't know what to do. And, I think that is one thing coaching of any kind, not just talking about career coaching, can help you with, because, you do need to reassess sometimes. And that's the thing. If the answer is that you aren't spending time, or you can't, Julie, to your point, exactly, that, how important is it to you? If it is important, if any of this is important, you have to be able to prioritize it. Otherwise, then it's not important to you, right? Like, we prioritize what is important. So
And I think
hopefully
that
everyone,
there's, yeah, no, I was going to say, I think there's really, it's powerful to say it out loud, and say it out loud to someone else, and maybe write that down too. Because I think, we get things in our head, myself, clients, of this is what I want to do, but I'm stuck, I'm miserable, we're in that spiral. But to say, okay, here's where we're at, but this is where I want to be, and say that out loud, and write that down. I think it just it's powerful when you do that, and you kind of get it out of your own head. So, and it puts, I think, some action and some legs to, okay, it's time to change, and to maybe change my daily habits and my time management strategies, because, okay, I don't want to keep going in this spiral. So one example from one of my clients recently, I just love this. So she is still in her current job. She actually likes her current job, but she was feeling just miserable as a mom, because she often worked late hours. So sometimes she would miss dinner with her family, which didn't make her feel good. And then when she was home, she had no plans for what they would eat. So she was putting peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the table. And just felt terrible, and so I challenged her and we talked about different ideas of how she could just take 30 minutes in meal plan. And now she's planning meals for her family. Even when she's not there, she's like prepared meals are like chopped, ready to go for her husband to do. And she's like, I just feel like just such a better person, because of that one simple thing. And that's time management. And that was just her. She had not told anyone else about this. She had not strategized with anyone else. So again, this is not a career change. This is a very simple lifestyle change, but made her feel even better at her job, really, for missing maybe a family meal or coming home and scrambling and not knowing, what they're going to have for dinner. But that family time was really important in her and her family's life. And she felt like she was not doing her part. So anyways, I think coaching for us is obviously a lot about pharmacy and careers, but it's a lot about what else is important to you, and how can we work in your calendar and your time management skills and to figure out small things, how you can feel better about yourself.
And I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head there, just because it's not just about having that perfect job or working yourself, to the ground. It's about finding that a good balance, but also like listing out everything that's important to you. Is it your career? Is it your family? Is it your own hobbies, your personal wellness? Just enjoying, every day, whether it's at work or at home with your family, and finding a happy medium. And it's amazing, like that story that you had, that just that one simple thing. And it is a form of time management that you were able to help her out with. So I feel like a lot of people could probably relate to that too. I can relate to the food prep as well. That helps a lot. We do that every week now, and it saves so much time. It's crazy.
It's a game changer.
It really is. But yeah, so I'd love for for everyone listening there, if you guys had like one, well, I guess let me go back there really quick. So along the last thing I wanted to bring up about coaching was probably the accountability partner side of it. So in terms of, when you are coaching a client and they're, their biggest concern, they're in it, but they're still concerned about getting things done and finding time for it. How is it that you guys help them, push through it, and by holding them accountable, whether it's like setting times in their calendar or just encouraging them to get things done? What's like the biggest factor there that helps them?
I mean, again, I'm a victim of, I'm one of our coaches, but if someone's not keeping me accountable, if I'm not meeting a friend to go on a run at 5:30 a.m., or if I'm not having a discussion about a new journal that's coming out, or when my kids leave to go visit grandparents, I'm the worst at planning meals. So if I don't have personally that accountability for all these things, I'm not going to get it done either. And I'm pretty disciplined and good with time management. And so, with clients, for me, every week we talk about, okay, this is your goal. That's great. But what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? Like, I need to know the day, the time. When are you going to send that email? When are you going to follow up with someone? When are you going to post on LinkedIn? I need to know the exact time and date. And I feel like that is really what puts some fire underneath them to get it done. And I'm obviously going to ask them about it the next time that we talk, or I might even text them at Tuesday at 2 p.m. when they said that they were going to do it, like, how was that email that you sent, so that they know that someone's gonna to ask them about it. And it also, I mean, it feels good too for me when, I tell someone I'm going to do something and I do it on time. That feels good versus having something just like lingering. And so I think setting those SMART goals, very specific action items for clients to get done, reminding them, okay, this is your long-term goal. This is where we want to be, but we can't be there overnight. So we have to take those baby steps every day, every week to get to that long-term goal. So again, what are you going to do this week so that we can get to that big dream? But we have to put in some hard work now to get there.
Those are amazing. Those are all really good strategies. And I would say I agree, just we're all so busy. And to add, coaching, the work that we do, it does take time. It takes mental energy, actual time to get the tasks done. So again, it's exactly like you said, when in your busy schedule. You know, I have clients that are working in community pharmacy and retail. So even if their schedule, you know, they're off a certain day, being off, as you all can relate to, does not mean you have maybe that we talked about earlier, that mental energy or that, you know, morning time. The next morning after a 12-hour shift probably isn't the most the best, most freshest time for some of my clients. So, you know, really talking about, to your point, Julie, like, when is the best time for you, looking at your shifts and upcoming schedule, you know, when do you think you can really get this done, and when would you feel like, you know, you want me to follow up with you if you haven't, you know, and it all is so important. And one thing that I like to share with people is that if there are those smaller tasks that you can get done in less than 2 minutes, if you think of something, sometimes it's better to, instead of even putting that away or like planning it, putting on, just get it done. If it can be done in less than 2 minutes, just try to get that task checked off, done. This is the type A pharmacist in me to share that. But otherwise, you know, I think Julie, you mentioned earlier, you know, one of your clients even talking about how can we outsource some tasks that you have, whether it's, you know, meal planning, can we get meal service, or can we do pizza a couple of nights this week or something? Delegating tasks and being okay with not being the one. Again, as pharmacists, sometimes we have that mentality that we want to do it all, or, you know, that perfectionism, but being okay with things being a little less perfect in some areas so we can spend more time in the areas that are important. So yeah, that's really important to me. Like when we were talking about earlier, if something's not a priority, but then, you know, there's sometimes that disconnect, that some of the clients I've had will, you know, in the beginning they're gung-ho, really want to make a career change, and then it gets tougher and there's a lot of work that you have to do, and it's getting more real that, hey, I could really have to leave this current job and get a new job. And so that's when a lot of the excuses, or maybe I actually like that job. And I have to remind my clients that, do you remember when you came to me and you told me why these are all the reasons, you know, you could never stay here? Like, I try to bring those up, and then we reevaluate, like, you know, is it still a priority? And typically it is. It's easier to be comfortable than uncomfortable. We all are human and we tend to want to stay in our comfort zone. And so that's that other last thing I do. When I start to sense someone kind of slipping back into, well, you know, I don't really think I need to change my career. I'm okay with this, you know, horrible condition I came to you with. I try to remind them, and then see, you know, it's not me. I'm a coach. It's not my job, my life, but I try to remind them of those things to say, okay, is this still a big, important priority for you? And if it is, how can I help you still, you know, get there? So that's another thing I just wanted to share.
No, awesome. No, thank you guys so much. I feel like we covered so much ground today, you know, not only personally, but also with coaching and everything in between. You know, as we're wrapping up here, any last words of encouragement? I know we kind of just covered a lot with the coaching side, but if, let's say, someone isn't really ready for coaching yet, or maybe they are currently coaching, anything for anyone out there, just in general, last words of wisdom or encouragement that either one of you want to share?
I'll say a silly quote, but, you know, either you run the day or the day will run you. So, you know, hopefully you learned something, one thing from this podcast, or you're encouraged to even just do a search of your own on productivity tips, or listen to a podcast or anything to kind of just start to reclaim your time. Because I know these days everyone's all about, we're in a busy world, and, you know, it is COVID-19. We have suddenly this time to maybe, you know, not have as many responsibilities, and, you know, just encouraging you, sometimes doing less and being more for yourself, your family, your patients, your career, might be a way to manage your time as well. So yeah, that's my word of it.
Yeah, yeah, I wholeheartedly feel that way. I think my whole life I'm a doer. I'm an achiever. but I'm really trying to, what's the meaning of this life that I have? What's my why? What's my why even day to day? So really thinking about, what do I want to get done today, but what's going to be meaningful going forward? And so I've just encouraged everyone to kind of what we talked about. It's okay to say no to things. And oftentimes when you say no, that will open doors to other bigger, better opportunities. But if you just keep saying yes, 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 then you're just going to be diluted in what you say yes to. So really, taking a deep dive to what's important, what's your why, what's your purpose, so that you can be all in for that. I think that is, as I'm getting older, something that I am really, really trying hard to work on, and dedicating my time and my time management to those particular things. And that list is getting smaller and smaller, but I can really dive deeper in those things that matter. So I would love to talk to anyone out there that is considering coaching or just time management or what's important to them or what have you. That we, all three of us are passionate about that, and we want to elevate the profession of pharmacy, but we want people to be happy in life and in all aspects of their life. So feel free to reach out to, I think I can speak to for all three of us, any of us. And we'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. Well said by both of you. I really appreciate it having you both on the podcast today. And thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much again for joining us for one of our panel discussions with the Happy PharmD podcast with two of our coaches, again, Janan Sarwar and Julie Kidd. I hope you get a lot of valuable information and also just learn more about just the importance of not only time management, but, finding your purpose and your why in life and career and family, and just determining how to find that balance. And again, please reach out to any of us with any questions. We'd be more than happy to chat about any of these topics. Please reach out to any one of us. We're always available to help out any of you, whether it's talking about coaching, time management, or anything. Feel free to reach out to us. And thanks again for listening. We'll see you guys next time.